My husband and I come from the same background. The only difference is that his mother isn't of that ethnicity, so he wasn't raised in the culture like I was. When we started dating, I helped him reconnect with his roots. This eventually led to him reaching out to his estranged father's family and becoming close with them. I think my mother-in-law has sort of held that against me ever since. Throughout the course of our relationship, she has made multiple comments about how she doesn't like the amount of emphasis I put on my heritage. When we told her I was pregnant with twins, she later said something about not wanting her future grandchildren to care about that stuff like I do. I've learned to ignore her comments because trying to explain myself to her has never helped. And I try to avoid conflicts whenever I can. My husband and I decided that the babies would have a first name from our culture, and their middle name would be a typical American name. My parents did the same thing with my name too, so it was just a continuation of that tradition. My mother-in-law ended up seeing texts between me and my husband where we said the middle names. But she assumed that we were talking about first names, so she went out and got the babies matching sweaters, with the names printed on the front of them. She showed the sweaters to me after they arrived. And I thanked her for the gift but didn't correct her on the fact that those were the middle names. I was sort of peeved that she had snooped through text messages to try to find out the names before we told her anyway. So I didn't want to give her their first ones on top of that. Last night when she was over at our house, she told me how relieved she was that we had chosen normal names for her grandchildren, and not a ridiculously difficult to pronounce name like mine. My husband asked what she was talking about. She repeated herself and he told her that actually, the babies did have names just like mine and he expected her to learn to say them. She brought up the text messages and the sweaters she bought, and then my husband explained our plan for their names. She got really pissed at me after that. Said I let her look like a fool for accepting the sweaters instead of telling her the actual names, which we still haven't shared with her, and that she'd be calling them by their middle names since that's what she knows them as now. My husband ended up asking her to leave. And after she was gone he said he wasn't upset at me or anything, but that he thinks I should have just told her she had the wrong info, instead of lying. I've been married to my wife for 10 years and we're a mixed race couple. I'm Asian and she's Caucasian. I've gotten along with her family, MIL, BIL, SIL, but I always felt like her father-in-law and other sister-in-law, Sarah, never liked me. I'm a professionally trained chef with 15+ years of experience and I work at a high-end Chinese restaurant, a spin-off of a popular one in Beijing, in a large US city. My crew and I have won several awards, and I've been explicitly told I'll be the next executive chef. Sarah is also a professionally trained chef and works at a popular upscale French restaurant in the city. She constantly brags about it and, no joke, compares herself out loud to Ramsay and Bourdain. Whenever I'm at my mother-in-law and FIL's house and helping out in the kitchen, Sarah is always criticizing everything I do. Whether it's chopping, braising, marinating, etc., she always butts in with comments like, I think you should actually do X like this. I've been patient for my wife and sidestepping those comments, saying things like, thanks, but I think I'll stick to the way I do it. Things came to a head 2 weeks ago when my wife, FIL, MIL, and I were in her parents' kitchen prepping dinner for my MIL's birthday. We were running a bit behind, so things were heated, which I kind of like because it reminded me of work. And that's when Sarah walked in. She took one look at what I was doing, scoffed, and said something like, oh wow, okay, so that's not the right way of doing things. It hit a nerve and I pretty sternly told her to stop criticizing my cooking and that I'm also a chef like her. She laughed and said making kung pao chicken at some Chinese restaurant doesn't count. The kitchen went silent, father-in-law snorted / chuckled, and my mother-in-law yelled, Sarah, what is wrong with you? I stopped what I was doing, swore at her and called her a racist piece of shit, apologized to my mother-in-law for not being able to stay, and left for home with my wife. Apparently this caused a massive fight after we left, with my MIL / BIL / other sister-in-law taking my side and my FIL / Sarah saying, it was a joke but kind of true and that I was being too sensitive. The extended family somehow got wind of this and now everyone is arguing and taking sides, with my wife even getting texts from some her cousins apologizing for Sarah's behavior. Despite being on my side, my wife is begging me to apologize so that the fighting will stop, but I refuse to because Sarah and her blatant racism. I'm a chef working at upscale Chinese resto. My sister-in-law is a chef at upscale French resto. She's critical of my cooking skills and has now called it making kung pao chicken at a Chinese restaurant. Family at war, wife begging me to apologize. My wife has also informed me that now Sarah may be in trouble at work and she's blaming me for it. Apparently one of her co-workers heard her rant about what happened and reported it to management. So it looks like one of my wife's cousins found this post and put it on Sarah's Facebook wall going, "This is you, right?" Her FB friends are starting to comment with things like, "If this is you, Sarah, then I'm disappointed. I think Sarah's still at work, shit might be hitting the fan soon, and now my wife is pissed too." My wife got a call from Asiel. From wife's paraphrasing. Sarah started screaming / crying at her the moment my wife picked up and said that she just got demoted because of her Asian slur husband. Apparently some of her co-workers have her on FB and showed the post to management, which combined with her earlier rant, double whammied her back to being a line cook, and now she might get fired. My wife solidly on my side after taking the verbal abuse from Sarah. I have 3 fingers missing on my dominant hand. It's fine. I can type and everything and even manage to tie my shoelaces most days, and on the days I can't, that's the dyspraxia. However, I won't deny that it looks a bit odd to most people. I only have my 4th and 5th fingers, so my hand looks a bit like a child's drawing of a rabbit, and not a good one. I'm used to people asking about it, usually after staring for a good minute or 2, but I still find it annoying. I really don't get why you'd think it would be an okay thing to ask someone about, but hey, I wasn't raised in a barn. Usually I nip the questioning in the bud by just explaining the truth from the get-go, and assuming that enough people will gossip about it that the message will spread by the end of the day. It always does. Anyway, I started a new job about a month ago, and I honestly could not face going through that same cycle again. I felt like the time had come to not play into it anymore and to make something out of it, and I decided to make myself laugh. When the first new coworker asked about it, I completely lied and told her that I chewed them off as a baby. I then decided to tell the next person who asked that I cut them off with a plastic knife at a picnic. And the next person that I was born with 6 fingers and they removed too many, and so on. All genuinely ridiculous reasons, but I'm a good actor and they actually believed my stupid lies. I didn't expect them to, a plastic knife, through bone, but there you go. Maybe they just thought there's no way I'd lie about how I lost my fingers. Within about 3 days, I learned that my coworkers had been arguing about the actual reason, and it seems like a lot of them now actively dislike me for lying to them. I'm probably going to have to make some cupcakes over the weekend with my super cool 3D printed adaptive whisk to get back into their good books. Anyway, I told this story to my brother today and he told me that I was an asshole because I caused tension within the office on my first day and made people feel stupid for being gullible and believing my lies. My argument is that I'm not the asshole because they were asking a rude, albeit common, question, and because I didn't do it with the intention of deceiving them. I was just honestly fed up of the question and didn't think they'd think I actually severed 3 fingers with dental floss when I was 3. I'll accept my judgment, though. Not cool to ask people why they lost limbs or digits just because you want to sate your morbid curiosity. A few reminders for people: I'm not a male. Don't know why everyone assumed that. Don't ask people about something that could be traumatic, especially when you don't actually know them. My sister is 30, I am 22. 10 years ago, my sister had a miscarriage. Obviously, it was devastating for her and the whole family, and it took her a couple of years to fully heal from it. We're still not 100% sure why it happened, but it was a one-off and she's since had 3 very healthy, beautiful children, including a set of twins. So here's the thing. My sister and I don't really get on. She resented me as a kid because she had to share Mom's attention and because she thought Mom left her dad to be with mine. Never really grew out of that resentment, and she was pretty much my biggest bully throughout childhood and my teenage years. One thing she absolutely cannot stand is when Mom and I do things without her, or when Mom pays more attention to me than to her. When this happens, she calls Mom and says she's feeling really upset about the miscarriage, and without fail Mom goes running. This includes a trip to Paris I took Mom on for her birthday earlier this year, which she cut short because sister said she needed her. Also includes when I had a manic episode so bad I was hospitalized and sister managed to need mom every time she was planning to visit me, and so she never did. Note: these times when mom is spending more time with me than her are the only times sister brings up what happened, and certainly the only times she still gets so upset about it. So recently I was sick. Like, don't leave the bathroom for days, can only keep water down sick. Didn't manage to get the doctor, but I think it was norovirus. It lasted about a week. Mom was popping in daily on her way home from work to check on me and stuff. On the last day of being seriously unwell, when I felt I could eat again, mom offered to make me some soup while she was there, which I accepted. She was halfway through making it when sister called her saying she was upset about the miscarriage, and she told me I'd have to finish it myself because she had to go. I didn't say anything to mom and I finished making the soup. But I sent my sister a text saying she really needs to stop bringing it up for attention because she can't bear me getting some instead. I guess she told mom and her dad because I'm hearing from all sides what a horrible, insensitive, selfish bastard I am, and how dare I say that to her. I understand she may still be traumatized. I just think it's really weird how that trauma solely manifests whenever I'm getting attention and she isn't.